Creating the Cowboy back with you on thelibertyplaybook.com. We've got about 7 weeks until the election, just a few days away from the first debate on Monday, September 26th, Patrick. And but the tide really has turned. I've read in the paper today here in Northern California that even though Hillary Clinton has a probably insurmountable lead, it is starting to close a little bit in Trump's favor.
And that's just indicative of what's happening around the country. She lost 7 points in California, so she's still 17 ahead, so it's not like, she's going to lose it. But in other states where the margins are getting even tighter and tighter, he's jumping ahead of her. He's outpolling Romney right now in Hispanics. He's outpolling Romney in African Americans. He's making inroads into places where Republicans don't normally go. And he's putting places in play that are starting to scare the Democrats no end. I mean, if the Emmy Awards are any indication, Hollywood's scared.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah.
The Emmy Awards were also on a night when there's football and other things going on. But and I don't want to even paint this kind of picture that Trump could win California. But if you look at the breakdown, there are a lot of independent voters who could shift.
And it shows you how volatile the electorate. If it's volatile in California like that, it's volatile everywhere in places where he really is going to make inroads. So anybody who 6 months ago said, this is going to be a Hillary walk, I don't think it's much of a walk.
We talked a little bit last time around about Hillary Clinton's health, how much of a factor it is, and what you see, whether she has a serious problem or not, there's a definite difference between his energy level and hers.
She's a 9-to-5 candidate. We were talking yesterday. She goes from her place, she campaigns during the day. Trump is campaigning at night. I mean, he's doing it during, he's got an Energizer Bunny, he's doing it during the day, but if you'll notice almost every night, if you're watching CNN or Fox or even MSNBC, you'll see all of the panel and everything else, and you'll see a little thing in the corner, Donald Trump will be speaking in 10 minutes or whatever it is. He's dominating the airwaves overnight, so that means the first thing in the morning, he's dominating the next day's cycle. And she's coming out with these drawn out. I mean, she spoke at Temple University to 150 people. She couldn't draw flies.
150 for Central Philadelphia is not many people.
Yeah, exactly.
On a college campus.
Yeah, on a college campus, because they're not enthusiastic. It's not Barack Obama coming to campus, and it isn't Grandpa Bernie Sanders coming to campus. Oh, here she comes, Hillary Clinton, the crook.
It's interesting, I can't remember whether this played out in the last election cycle, presidential election cycle, but there seems to be a reactionary component to this. Every news story, it seems, that happens, especially the terrorist strikes in Minnesota, New Jersey, and New York, that they're both blaming each other, they're both reacting to it.
Yeah, and she reacts to it with this calm, we have to have a leader who's going to look at these issues, and she uses a lot of $10 words about how we're going to shape things and all this other stuff. He comes out and says they're terrorists, we're going to kill them, and we can't have this in our country anymore. Well, which one's going to get the response? His.
Well, on the whole Democratic Party, from Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, on down, they're all afraid to use the word terrorism. I mean, what else is it? It's a pressure cooker that explodes in a dumpster on a New York City street. That's terrorism.
Well, if I was a reporter sitting in the stands, I'd say, excuse me, Governor Cuomo, was it terrifying? Oh, yes, the weapon was terrifying. Then it's terror. I mean, I don't know why these guys can't say the word, and our president refuses to say anything about this. He's just dumping this on to the next person. So if I was ISIS, if Trump gets elected on November 8th, come November 9th, they had to hang up a vacancy sign in Raqqa.
Well, it could have been workplace violence, but as far as I know, this guy didn't work in a dumpster.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't a garbage man.
No.
At least not union garbage.
Right, so it wasn't, okay. So coming up Monday night, the debate, I've said before in commentary that this is Trump's election to lose, I think, right now, and the numbers are starting to show that. What does Trump have to do in the debate? What does Hillary have to do?
I think Trump just has to show that he has some knowledge of the issues. I think he has to not look as bombastic, but he can do that. He does the bombast when he's at the rallies, and that's what they want. They don't want him to come up and speaking like he's on Sominex, like Hillary does. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to punch back, and he's not a typical Republican who's going to stand there with his hands at his sides when she punches. And if I were him, I'd go after on the race thing. Your people are calling me a racist, You're the one who's holding down kids in school. You're the ones who've been running these cities for all these years. I'd go after her with hammer and tone.
Not to get too deep into the weeds into statistics and demographics, but if you look at the last election, Mitt Romney didn't lose by that much to Barack Obama. He only got 6% of the black vote. Donald Trump right now is polling, 18 to 20%?
18 to 20, according to the LA Times, which is not exactly a conservative publication who would tend to favor Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. That's huge, as Donald would say. And who knows how it's going to play out in these states. That could be the difference in some of these swing states. So Democrats, naturally, get the Congressional Black Caucus out there. Oh, he's a racist. I heard this one young guy who's too young to remember when Donald Trump started his career, says he has decades of racism. Show me. I don't see it. So, I think they're firing everything they can. It's like one of those science fiction movies where they keep trying to knock down the prehistoric dinosaur that was created by a nuclear test, and they can't do it. And finally they go, what do they say? We're going to have to get the nukes to get the thing, And with Donald Trump, that's what they're going to have to do.
And the voice track is about 3 seconds line
exactly.
of pictures.
Well, that's, Japanese version.
The other thing is, the rules of engagement have really changed in this election. We just referenced Donald Trump going after the black vote. He's talking about making Peter Thiel, this gentleman who runs PayPal, who's acknowledged gay, on the Supreme Court. He'd be the first gay on the Supreme Court. I mean, the whole playbook of the rules of engagement. These are your people. You go after them. These are our people, and the line never seems to cross. It's crossed.
I can, imagine a time when, if Donald Trump becomes president and he announces that Peter Thiel is his nominee for the Supreme Court, here are all the gays that have been screaming oh God, Donald Trump, although quite frankly, they haven't been screaming too loud against Donald Trump. I think, they go, that guy is, hey, what happened here? Mm-hmm. Now, it might upset some Republicans, but I don't think so. And it would flummox the Democrats. I can't wait to see a Democrat going after Peter Thiel.
You are also seeing what we laughingly refer to as St. Paul falling off his horse on the way to Damascus. You're seeing a lot of Republicans who couldn't stand Donald Trump suddenly coming around. They can count.
Oh, yeah, they can count. But there's also this more worrisome bunch. And that's the bunch of the Washington worms who crawl around on their bellies all day making money. And they're hoping that if she wins, they're going to somehow get some largesse out of this for their lobbying firms or their law firms.
Because they didn't support Trump?
Because they didn't support Trump. Well, something, if that's what they really believe, look at the Bernie Sanders wing. Even though he didn't win, they're running the Democratic Party right now. And they're not interested in helping Republicans make money. And she has to be careful. If she all of a sudden gets in and then basically turns her back on the Bernie people and says, I'm going to go after and create just more, crony capitalism, more corruption with these, Judas Iscariot Republicans, hey, the Bernie people are going to primary her in 4 years. So, I think these guys who are doing this are, they're showing their true colors.
Well, I think they have two big problems. Number one is that I don't think Hillary's going to make it. And number two, if Trump does, he's going to remember who supported him and who didn't.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a list in his pocket. A little paper, he pulls out the paper for his speeches. He goes, here are the 10 guys that we don't want,
Right.
So
exactly.
You have to be careful in these things.
Yeah. Might get some good deals on K Street.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of real estate's going to be up for bid.
Crane and the Cowboy, we'll be back to you next week. We'll talk about that debate on Monday the 26th. But upcoming, how much do you know about your country? We took to the streets to find out, and the answers might be a little troubling.
Very troubling.